Hello and welcome to the Total Soccer Show. My name is Daryl Grove and I'm joined by a man who's coming out of retirement and moving to Mexico. His name is not Landon Donovan. It's Taylor Rockwell. Hello.
Hello. Yeah, I mean, I'm getting kind of tired of doing this show from like 3 feet away from each other. I figured like several thousand miles was the way to go.
You're going to go south of the border?
Yes.
So I honestly thought this Landon Donovan out of retirement, joining Club Leon in Liga MX was kind of a publicity stunt to begin with. I really, really believed that. I thought Club Leon were just sort of, their social media manager was doing a good job, basically, and hyping it up when it wasn't happening. And then Donovan tweets that he's doing it, right? Yep. And here it is. And I still don't quite know what to make of it.
Well, I'll tell you this. I don't think you were wrong for thinking it was a publicity stunt because they're definitely like not steering away from all the publicity angles.
They're making the most of it.
Well, have you seen what number he's wearing?
Dos Zero.
Yep.
Which is not Spanish 20. For 20, is it?
He is wearing 20, but yes. I saw Ives Galarcep tweet that one as Dos Zero jersey.
I also saw Charles Bame suggest that the Wasserman Group are doing good work.
Yeah. Well, I just want to say, though,
that's Donovan's representatives, I believe, based on that tweet.
I think you're correct. I do want to say, though, I appreciate that from Club Leon. I mean, that's what it is, right? It's a famous American player. It's going to get interest from American fans, probably from Leon fans.
Yeah.
But there's no sense pretending, as some clubs would, that, no, this is the big deal. This guy coming out of retirement for us, it's going to change our whole season. It's he'll probably have an impact. He'll be good. He'll have veteran experience. But he is not some, game breaker that maybe he was 10 years ago. My point is simply that I appreciate that they're not trying to shy away from the Dos Cero, we're hyping this move. We'll see what happens.
Doesn't it cheapen it a little bit?
No, because I think you steered. I mean, again, this is the league
steer
where
into it, is what you're saying.
Yes, because this is the league where Omar Gonzalez was unveiled, dressed as Darth Vader, lest we forget.
And I believe they might play against each other in the nearest future based on Omar Gonzalez's tweets.
And I back Landon Donovan. Even if Omar Gonzalez is Darth Vader. He's like the new CGI Darth Vader that isn't entirely convincing.
Yeah. So what about the idea of this thing of Donovan being the sort of retire, unretire, retire, unretire? Does it sort of tarnish any of his sort of American soccer grandness?
I don't think so, because I think that's who he is. I think he's always been a guy who likes soccer, but maybe doesn't love it, but is very good at soccer and kind of enjoys going back to it. I think he's a guy who needs the break from it a little bit.
So I thought the same thing when he sort of did Bruce Arena a favour and played for the LA Galaxy. I don't remember when it was, maybe a couple years ago now. I
think it was 13 years ago.
I did like the idea of he's young enough that he can still play, and you're only that young for so long, right? If Donovan did this again in 3 or 4 years, he's not going to be capable of playing in a top league professional soccer. So you might as well do it while you're young-ish.
Yeah, and
as I hit my late 30s, mid 30s, sounds youngish.
I mean, I think so, and I think that's I think too often we get concerned with our image and our legacy, and the reality is Donovan's legacy is one that I don't think really can be tainted, unless he suddenly tries to renounce and play for the Mexican national team. I don't think he can do that.
He might find a one-time switch.
Yeah.
That's the other question I had for you. So we got into watching Liga MX to watch Jonathan Gonzalez at Monterrey.
I noticed that since Jonathan Gonzalez switched, you've started calling it MX again, and not MX.
That's not deliberate. I guess I just haven't thought of it as much. So Monterrey was my in to the league in Mexico. Is Landon Donovan at Club Leon going to be the same thing?
Well, first of all, one thing I hadn't even thought about till just now is I do wonder now if that is a thing that Club Leon thought of ooh, this kid has turned a lot of people off to Monterrey. Let's get some eyes on us. So, yeah, I think so. Why not? I mean, there's lots, I think...
Cool. For me, the reason why not is that Jonathan Gonzalez represented this bright future. Landon Donovan's not going to be called up to the US men's national team to make a difference in the near future, right?
Well, no, but I think he's a reason to watch the league. And I think it's a good reminder that there are lots of Americans playing in Liga MX and that it's worth maybe checking them out. But yeah, I will not be watching Monterrey, and I will be actively rooting against them.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
We'll have that conversation another day.
That's
maybe
fine.
Club Leon versus Monterrey. That's got to be on the schedule,
Club
right?
Leon all the way.
Because it's still early days.
Go Lions, maybe.
Yeah, definitely. All Donovan's tweets had Lions in them.
There we go.
Yeah. Lions over Rayados, right?
I mean, obviously. All day, every day.
All right, so should we move away from weird Liga MX transfer news
if we must.
To the big game of the day, the big Premier League game? It is, of course,
Bournemouth Arsenal.
West Brom's 2-0 winner.
Your joke was better.
It's Liverpool 4, Manchester City 3, a game that was rightly celebrated by everybody afterwards, right? As just an absolutely sort of sparkling gem of what Premier League football can be. should be if certain other managers would be as brave as Jurgen Klopp.
Yeah, that's definitely how it's getting phrased. I like to think of this game as Liverpool 4, Man City 1, 2, 3. Liverpool 4, Man City 3.
I'll be honest, so I watched this live, but also I was playing a pickup game at 1 o'clock, and I hadn't quite got all my stuff together to get there. 80th minute, 4-1, I was like, all right, I can probably just, I'm going to watch this again anyway for the show. I can just leave. Found out when I got there, 4-3, I nearly missed a stunning comeback.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. Comeback. But in the end, you did not. And I would say to the people bringing up that point about like Liverpool being open and this is how you beat Man City, it's like maybe don't stay open though. Like maybe close shop at some point. That's not the worst idea either.
Well, okay, we're going to do our thumbs up, thumbs down review, even though the man who inspired it, Romelu Lukaku, has not played yet this weekend.
Yes.
Man United play Stoke on Monday, I believe. I'm going to weirdly start at the end and say thumbs up to Guardiola for kind of rallying his troops, and even after that, they were reeling right when those 3 goals went in 9 minutes in the second half.
Yep.
But thumbs up to Guardiola for kind of steadying the ship and making them believe in what they were doing again, and kind of ending the game with some dignity and excitement. It being 4-3 instead of ending the game with getting your ass kicked and having to like hang your head and walk out of there.
See,
you know what I'm saying?
I would, yes, and I agree with that. And I would add
sets them up for the rest of the season. It's not like this big disaster crater in the middle of the season.
But I think that was an intentional move on his part, is what I would guess. That like you saw him, there were moments when he was kind of like laughing, and like I remember the commentator saying like, "Oh, even Guardiola's enjoying this, even if his men are losing."
Right.
And I do think that there's that time when like if you've won. Not that I can't remember the exact number, but if you've won 30 games, or not 30 games, like 20 games already.
It was 30 unbeaten.
There we go. And if you drop one to then treat it like it's the end of the world and have that level of seriousness, I think that causes more problems than it does solve them.
Yeah,
whereas being like, we've been
be.
playing well, this is a really good game and it's really fun and we'll get the next one.
Right.
Like that's the approach of a person who recognizes that one game does not the season make.
Okay. Thumbs up from me, because we've focused on Man City a little bit already. Thumbs up to Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain for proving all the doubters wrong. He played centre midfield just like he wanted to at Arsenal. He played centre midfield in this game. Liverpool played a 4-3-3 and was brilliant. Got the first goal, got the assist for, I believe, the second goal.
Yeah, and that first goal, I mean, I went back and watched this like 4 or 5 times to try to figure out like what is the genius of Liverpool. And there's lots of stuff that Liverpool are doing successfully.
I got some notes.
But it comes down to like Oxlade-Chamberlain gets that ball, drives forward, shoots with confidence from a tight angle. I would say it's not very good work from, is it Karius was in goal?
For Liverpool?
Yes.
For Man City,
it was
Ederson.
Ederson, yeah. Not very, I always get confused with Ragnar Klavan and Lothar Karius, either way. But yeah, I don't think it's very good footwork from Ederson, but it's still a really great shot and a lot of confidence from Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. Confidence that maybe we wouldn't have seen last season.
Isn't part of the reason that he sort of catches him in slightly the wrong position and with bad footwork is that Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain shoots early? Because he's actually well outside the box when he hits it, right?
I mean, but
you know
that's what I'm saying is it probably shouldn't matter, because if you shoot from that distance, it shouldn't matter if he's like, oh, I'm a little bit behind. You should be able to get down and get to it.
Yeah.
I think it's because Ederson isn't expecting that shot, and from what I saw, it looks like he's sliding a little bit to his left. That shot comes, and he basically has to lunge from his left foot as opposed to planting and pushing off with his right foot.
I think he's getting ready to sort of maybe come out and have a one-on-one showdown with Oxlade-Chamberlain, and leaves that far post open, which allows him to shoot. I also, weirdly, thumbs up to all the Liverpool goals for the sort of confidence of the finishing. You know what I mean? Like, every goal I thought, most players would have taken a few more touches, right? Thinking Mane, when he hits it top of the box, so calm. Most players would touch that, go a couple more, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Firmino most players would have gone a bit farther in and tried to like go around Ederson instead of taking that first time chip.
The Mane one in particular, because he had players on either side of him calling for the ball. Mohamed Salah's goal from, 45, 50 yards out? That's another one where I think he calls Firmino off, and you can see Firmino look momentarily annoyed and then immediately celebrate. Like, oh, come on. Oh, I see what you did. Okay, never mind.
Speaking of Firmino, all my thumbs, it's all been all my thumbs so far. I'm sorry. Shall I leave one for you?
Yeah, I'm going to say then, since you want to talk about the Firmino goal,
I was going to talk about Firmino in general.
Down to John Stones for his pursuit angle in the Firmino goal, the second goal for Liverpool. It's played through by Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, and it's a ball that they had been looking for. I think 4 or 5 times in the first half, Liverpool got that sort of regained possession and broke, and had 3 or 4 attackers kind of running at pace, and they tried to play that ball in behind. It didn't quite work. In this situation, it did. And I think it did mostly because John Stones, I think, thought he could take an angle on it to basically intercept it and dribble away with the ball.
He goes and then stops.
And then recognizes that he's not going to get to it. And while he's recognizing, like, oh, I need to adjust, he gets bodied off the ball.
Mm-hmm.
And I have been in that position, and you want for all the world for the referee to call that a foul because you know you've made a mistake there.
Mm-hmm.
And even if it is a little bit over, if it's 51% overly physical, and maybe sometimes that gets called, in that situation, because you have miscalculated, when it doesn't get called, it's that much more painful. And that's why I think he protests the way he does.
Okay, before we talk about the actual chip, which is how that goal finishes, right? And that was sort of the beginning of the great unravelling in the second half, I believe. I want to talk about the Firmino challenge on Stones and the fact that the build-up to that goal was Wijnaldum and Oxlade-Chamberlain sort of muscling, I believe it was Kevin De Bruyne off the ball. It was kind of a little scrap that they came out on top of, right? They ganged up on him and came out with the ball, and then Ox came away. And really, when I was watching that game, I thought the Liverpool players kind of... it's not that they fought harder, it's sort of like they anticipated the 50-50 balls and were on them faster and therefore won a lot of those 50-50 battles.
Well, I think you're not wrong, but I would say the way I saw it was thumbs up to Liverpool for not ruminating. And what I mean by that is the exact reason why we do thumbs up, thumbs down is because we both appreciate when Romelu Lukaku does the thumbs up when the ball was like played over the top and he didn't quite get to it.
Yeah.
But Liverpool don't do the thumbs up because they chase that ball. And I saw it, and I mean, like, sincerely, like, I saw it a number of times. Like, Emre Can at one point gets the ball poked away in an embarrassing fashion. Like, he thinks he has time, he takes a touch, he looks around, City player comes through and pokes it off of him. And a lot of players would like throw their head back or look frustrated or like apologize or look sheepish. He is 100% immediately on his horse, chases that ball down, slide tackles, dispossesses the City player, Liverpool get possession back. And there's none of that sort of like, oh, good idea, hey, play it faster, I'm going to stop and be annoyed. There is sometimes, I guess, right before Liverpool score, but generally speaking, it is all action all the way. And I just think that's something that maybe City, because of the way teams have been playing them, weren't really ready for in this game. And so it is going from like, oh, we have all the time in the world, we can do whatever we want, to suddenly Liverpool, without hesitation, are chasing that 50-50 ball, are chasing the loose ball, are trying to win that ball back. And I think eventually it wears you down.
Another great example is the first goal, the Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain goal. It's a ball in the air. I think it's Salah challenges Fabian Delph, and neither of them win it, right? You would just call that a draw where no one won. Like a bad boxing match. And the ball lands loose, and Ox is on it.
I feel like you're setting me up for boxing analogies.
Firmino is on it. Right? He's on that 50-50 ball to make sure, I think he beats Otamendi, to make sure that Liverpool win possession on that sort of...
That was a rarity.
I was going to call it a knockdown, but it's not really a knockdown, just that loose ball. And that's what allows Oxlade-Chamberlain to get it and go free. And I think they were just faster on that all the time.
Yeah, and I mean, a big reason why they're faster on that all the time is because of just how well drilled that team is.
Yes.
You could see it in sequences, the way players shift over and block off space, and then other players step into the space that's been vacated. It was a really, really pretty and fun example of how you play pressing soccer.
It is, and thumbs up to Andy Robertson for giving us the primo .gif or .gif, depending on how you want to...
GIF. It's GIF. It's GIF.
I'm not getting into that debate. For giving us the streamable to really capture the sort of intense pressing of Liverpool in this game. Because I don't have the list of players that he chases, but it ends with the goalkeeper and then goes on to Otamendi, right?
I'm counting. I think it was 4 players, but one of them twice.
Yep. Absolutely brilliant. I think, doesn't it sort of end with a chance for Liverpool, but then he's called back for eventually what's a foul on Otamendi.
Exactly,
And the thing I love about this play, it's not just that Robertson is like sort of so committed and chasing, because any dummy can chase, right?
Yeah, I want to say to your credit, before you go on, I want to say I was 100% like, look at him run. And to Daryl's credit, he was like, oh, but look at that other thing.
Yeah, the other thing that I first noticed is Sadio Mane, who is the left winger, Robertson is the left back. When he sees Robertson go, Mane holds that left back position to make sure the holes don't appear when people go pressing, right? But also, as Robertson is doing the chasing, the other players sort of midfield and up front are also cutting off angles in case Robertson actually does end up putting the correct pressure on. So it's not just like one idiot running like a chicken with his head cut off. It's much more of a planned thing, even though it looks just like fury, you know?
But it's also fury. Yeah, I can see that. I'm going with the Brad Pitt tank movie Fury when you say that, and that still seems accurate because it's like gritty and aggressive, and somehow they end up winning. But I would also say that like I would compare it to babysitting when it's like I'm here and I'm like taking charge, but someone is coming in to relieve me at some point, and like I'll do what I'm like I do what's sort of expected of me. That's what like I think a lot of like forwards will do if like, okay, I'm going to drop in and play defense now because the defender is forward. Like I'm here nominally, but I'm ready to switch as soon as the opportunity presents itself.
Yeah.
And in this situation, like I still saw Mane shift around and adjust his positioning even 40 yards away from the ball. Like he's still doing what he needs to be doing as an actual defender, not just a makeshift babysitter.
It's a little. I don't want to go too heavy on the Liverpool praise, but it feels a little bit like total football-y, where everybody can play the position temporarily and fill in, and so it really makes the team whole, so that system can work all the time. And I would even, I'm going out on a limb here, I would say that this game may be the evidence that Coutinho's very expensive for Barcelona exit may not be the sort of death blow to Liverpool's season that it could have been. If you just think about the quality of players, no argument with him being a top level player, but he's not necessarily a player that Klopp would have chosen, right? He's not. He wasn't a Klopp transfer, right? Wasn't he there in the Brendan Rodgers era as a younger man? Because he talked about I'm joining Suarez at Barcelona.
Yeah.
We nearly won the Premier League together. Yeah. He's from back in the day, right? Klopp more enjoys midfielders like Wijnaldum and Oxlade-Chamberlain as we score today.
And Emre Can theoretically, even though he's still linked with a move away.
Yeah, I feel like maybe his performance today might have.
I would think so.
It will have made Juventus more eager to get that contract signed.
Yeah.
And Klopp a little more eager to say, hey, let's see if this works out if you stay here.
But I want to go all the way back with all that said to your initial point, which is I've heard so many pundits and fans and tweeters like kind of like making the argument like this is how you beat City, this is the blueprint going forward. First of all, we've had like 6 blueprints this season for how to beat Man City. But I really do think, as much as I would like to believe that, I tweeted out the Rocky IV quote from Duke where Rocky cuts Ivan Drago and it's like, he's cut. He's a man. He's not a machine. But the reality is, I really
that was the Firmino goal, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I think so. Actually, no, I think that was the Oxlade-Chamberlain of like, see, we can make it happen. Yeah. But you're right, it might be the Firmino goal because it's like, they equalize. And instead of them going ahead, we go ahead.
And before anyone tweets at us, I know Taylor and I both just said Firmino. We know it's Firmino.
Yeah,
we just talk fast.
Yeah, we do indeed. Firmino. What's up now? But I really do think that this is probably more of an outlier and an excellent game from Liverpool.
Well, all you have to do to beat Man City is just be Liverpool and practice Klopp's system for a few seasons, and then you can play them, right? Yeah, Crystal Palace can do it next week.
See, yes and no.
Palace did get a point against them, actually.
But there were still plenty of moments where Liverpool executed their game plan perfectly, had the press, had everybody fill in. City still found a way through. Like, that still happened regularly. And a lot of the goals came about through Liverpool doing what they needed to do. Don't get me wrong, Liverpool fans, but stupid mistakes from Man City. Yeah. Like Otamendi gave the ball away, I can think of 4 times at least that were just bad passes, that were just stupid giveaways that you usually wouldn't see from Man City. And that's again where I go back to that idea that I just think they're used.
Third goal, right? Wasn't that Otamendi under pressure?
But even like there was like early chances for Liverpool before they even scored where Otamendi just tried to force the through ball, or even tried to force like a 20-yard, not even force, just play a 20-yard pass and didn't play it to feet. Well, and again, it feels to me like this is a City team that are used to having all the time and ability to move the ball forward as slowly as they want, and then have to play fast. And here, when you kind of catch them in that like, oh, you guys are coming at us moment, you can cause problems.
The other thing I liked is it wasn't as if Liverpool just went 100% press 100% of the time. There were times when they kind of dropped back into what I would call a 4-1-4-1, where Emre Can is a slightly deeper midfielder, and then Salah and Mane are a little deeper, and just Firmino is chasing him up front for a little bit, because you've got to contain and have a breather. And then when one person goes, you could see the trigger, right? The pressing trigger, they call it. When one person goes, then they all go, and they know it's coming. But it's a good way of sort of not just going at it for 20 minutes and then being out of breath. Right?
I mean, because you can't do
Andy
that.
Robertson all the time.
You have to. You literally can't. Otherwise, your heart will explode, as I said. So I think you've got to find ways around that. I think they did that. But again, I think it's going to be very difficult for lots of other teams, even teams that already use that high press. I can't imagine Huddersfield coming in and getting that same result just by using the high press system.
I mean, it didn't work against West Ham.
It did not at all. More on that in a moment.
The final thing I would like to say from my angle is from my end of the table is one thing Liverpool did really well is evade Manchester City's press.
Oh, and scoring goals. They did that well.
Scoring goals, they did well, and what I saw them do to evade Man City's press is essentially go long, but not in a desperate way, more in a medium-long way into the head or chest of Firmino. So Firmino would sort of, instead of standing next to Stones and Otamendi, he would come like 10 yards deep and then Karius or Matip, the goalkeeper or centre-back, would play balls that were either high or like mid-high for him to challenge the defenders, and then either he would win it and flick it on, as he did for Mane early on. Do you remember Mane nearly had a chance on goal in like the third or fourth minute from that happening? Or he would like half win it, and then Ox or Wijnaldum or someone would be onto that second ball. And that was a much more successful thing to do than to try to pass your way through as all those Man City players are pressing up on you. You didn't give Man City a chance to press.
Nope. I mean, until the final 10 minutes.
Until the final 10 minutes when they're a bit more, cautious. Yeah.
A little bit, a bit more desperate, I would say.
Should we at least give a thumbs up to Sané as well? Because he did get that goal that leveled it in the first half.
Sure.
Leroy Sané.
Yeah. I mean, that was good. That was... I think it's always easy to blame a goalkeeper when they get beaten near post, but in that situation, I'm going to say maybe not so much his fault.
Yeah, I agree with that too, because I think Sané hits it with Gomez in front of him, so he's got him as a bit of a shield. Kind of comes as a surprise and comes very, very fast.
Yeah. Now that you bring that up, this game did have a lot of those like, wait, that went in? Like moments of like, you have Sadio Mane's goal. That was definitely one that I was like, oh, that's going, that is in the back of the net.
What?
Yeah, and the Firmino like chip that slowly, almost insultingly bounces off the post.
It's like he measured Ederson. He knew the height of Ederson with one arm in the air and was like, okay, I'm going to chip it 6 foot 6 inches over you.
Yep.
It's perfect.
And then Mohamed Salah's knuckle wrap goal. I call it that because I will never... do you know what it comes from?
Yeah, from me, I think.
From you, indeed. There it is. I will never forget that joke of, I think it was Dejan Stankovic.
Yes.
Like just hitting a one-time volley from midfield right back into the goal. I think from a goal kick or from a clearance.
Yeah.
That's what those goals always remind me of.
Like a mean piano teacher.
Yeah, that's
Don't
what
do
it was.
That.
Oh, it was mean piano? I thought it was none.
Yeah.
All right, yours is probably better.
One theory I've been working on as well. We should move on in a second, right? Yep. Is it possible that the reason Karius was in goal is because he can hit those direct balls better than Mignolet? Like, did Klopp plan it to that level?
Are you asking me this?
Yeah,
I don't know, Daryl.
Throwing out a theory. So I'd like to hear from Liverpool fans. Maybe tweet at us. Is Karius sort of known to be better at kicking than Mignolet? And then we'll know.
Then we'll know. That's how it works.
Anything else on this game?
That's about it for me.
All right. Can I just salute Kyle Walker for that crossfield chip?
Sure.
Because he's English?
Sure.
And we'll see that again at the World Cup.
Yep.
All right, thumbs up to Liverpool and Man City for a wonderful morning of soccer.
You sure? Nothing else?
I mean, I'm excited about this game. I want to talk about it.
I think I'm just laughing because I think Daryl Grove, before we started recording, said, okay, we can't do 20 minutes on this game.
I said 40.
Okay.
We can't do 40. So
all right.
I'm good. All right, lots more thumbs up, thumbs down to come. But first, today's show is sponsored by Howler magazine.
It is.
Because synergy. So the winter issue of Howler magazine should be on its way soon. We don't have it yet, but we have a digital copy.
That we do.
And editor George Qureshi highlighted for us the Diego Maradona story that's in there. It's kind of, I know, right? I'll be honest, I was not excited to read it because it's about Diego Maradona's handball against England at the 1986 World Cup, and it's called I Am Not Sorry for Scoring With My Hand by Diego Armando Maradona.
Yep.
But turned out it was definitely worth reading because it was interesting. It didn't make me feel better about the thing that happened in 86, but it was interesting to see Maradona's perspective.
I read it. I audibly said, oh no, because at one part he insults Peter Shilton.
Yes.
And I didn't think that was going to go over well with you.
Well, I think I've heard that before, that he's not a fan of Peter Shilton or Terry Butcher.
Okay, that makes sense.
Basically, any English player who calls him a disgrace or a cheat for doing that, he takes extreme, exception to it. So the thing with Shilton, who was the goalkeeper in 86, he said that Shilton didn't want me to play in his testimonial.
Yeah.
And Maradona said, who would want to play in a goalkeeper's testimonial anyway?
Yep.
That's the kind of level we're at with Diego Maradona's insults.
Yep, which is in that article.
Yeah.
So you get plenty of that. You get Diego Maradona is always interesting to read. Like I think we've both read his autobiography.
Yes,
which I'm sure he wrote every word of. But it
kind of feels like he did.
He has he might have.
Because it jumped all over the place.
It might be a direct transcription. But Diego Maradona is like it's like the Rick James sketch where he has the ability to be like, so they said I was wearing a red shirt, and I definitely wasn't wearing a red shirt on that day because I've never worn a red shirt, and I don't own a red shirt. He says that while wearing a red shirt, and then the next sentence begins, so I was wearing my red shirt, and it's just like, what? Like, how do you do this? Like, it's a very all over the place narrative, but it somehow makes it all the more captivating.
It really captures what Maradona is all about, right? Which is just saying whatever he needs to say in the moment to make it sound okay.
Which kind of suits his game as well.
Yes,
you got to do whatever you got to do to make it happen.
Improvise. Which also is the reason reason for that handball.
Yep.
Right? If you haven't seen, there's a chance that people listen to this have not seen it. You can definitely find it on YouTube. There must be a million versions of it.
Yeah.
It's the 1986 World Cup. It is, I believe, a quarterfinal. It's England, Argentina. There's a high ball, and Shilton, who's a big guy, goes up for it with Maradona.
Are you really describing this?
Yeah, just in case someone hasn't seen it, who's a little guy.
Yeah.
And Maradona punches it past Shilton.
Yeah.
Runs off celebrating, the goal stands. But here's the clever part, and by clever I mean he fakes a header at the same time.
He does.
So Maradona does the head nod, so the referee and assistant ref think that he might have headed it.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. It's worth. It's hard for me to talk about.
I know.
But,
you just did that to yourself. You
I know.
understand that? You just narrated the entire event that almost everyone has seen.
Exposure therapy, right? It's a real thing. So the other half of this is an article by two people who just translated Diego Maradona's autobiography called From God's Lips to Your Ears, The Challenges and Delights of Translating Diego Maradona.
Well, at least they didn't steer into his hubris at all. That's good.
Yeah, they certainly. Well, they talk about what a sort of challenging but fascinating thing it is to try and translate Diego Maradona, not necessarily because of his personality, which is very abrasive and sort of driven by insults and proving everybody wrong, right?
Yeah.
It's about how his sentences go all over the place, about how he jumps around in time, and he uses like very like working class Buenos Aires slang, which is its whole like, I think they call it like a weird version of Pig Latin that they had to try and translate, and they would listen to him describe a goal that he scored. And they'd have to go and watch the goal to figure out what on earth happened, because none of it made sense to them until they saw it. So it was almost like learning a new language, basically.
The
article is by Jane Brody and Wendy Gosselin. Very much recommend reading theirs and Diego's. Let's give Diego some credit.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. And if people want to read Howler Magazine, any of the Howler Magazines to come, what can they do, Daryl Grove?
You can go to FIFA.wtf/gethowler. FIFA.wtf/gethowler. Link will be in the show notes. You get 20% off a year subscription with the discount code TSS14. TSS14. A year subscription is $55. Use our discount code, $44. That is a good discount on Howler Magazine.
There we are.
There's also going to be an unofficial Howler launch party, which is sort of it's a co-event with the Total Soccer Show / Howler Magazine live event. Can you remember the date, Taylor? I hope so, because you'll be there.
I believe it is the 17th?
It is the 18th.
There we go.
Thursday the 18th of January. You knew, really.
I did.
Thursday the 18th of January, 7:30 in Philadelphia at Jose Pistola's Bar.
There we go.
Sorry, 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock.
There we go.
7 o'clock.
January 19th at
January
8
18th.
Cool.
For more details, there'll be a link in the show notes as well.
Yep.
FIFA.wtf/Philly2018. All right, we hope to see you there. Mm-hmm. All right, Taylor, what else did you see this weekend?
I mean, I think we probably have to move to the other big game from today, Sunday. Bournemouth 2, Arsenal 1. I think that's probably the one to go to next.
Arsenal fans, earmuffs.
Actually, I'm going to say before you do that, I'm going to say thumbs up to Arsenal supporting American fans, because they need something to be happy about. So I'm going to give them a thumbs up. It has not been great recently. This certainly didn't help. And really, looking at that Arsenal team, it was sort of like, that must not be fun. Because it is Alexis Sanchez not involved in this game.
Did you see all the Wenger quotes after?
I mean, he said he's moving, but he wouldn't say where. Did you actually see the interview?
Yes.
The interview, he looked like a sad really child who's losing his favorite toy.
Weirdly, I actually heard it first. I heard the 5 Live Football Daily, the BBC thing, and I thought, oh, he sounds sad and kind of beaten in a weird way. And then I saw the video footage. Actually, randomly, it was a pop-up on my screen. I can't remember where I was looking. And he really looked like, oh.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like the opposite of what I was saying about Guardiola, the way he sort of, even though they lost, he raised his guys at the end and they were still left with some pride. Guardiola just looked like a man who'd been beaten.
Wenger did.
Excuse me. Wenger looked like a man who'd been beaten.
Yeah, I mean, and first of all, he was, so that was a fitting way to look. But I think it wasn't just that they lost, it was how they lost. It was really, really sloppy. It was not a cohesive game plan overall, at least not a well-executed game plan. And you had, I have thumbs down to Ainsley Maitland-Niles.
That's harsh on a youngster.
It is, but man, if you come in there and you get shredded the way he did, he was beaten time and time again, especially by Jordan Ibe. And I wouldn't even say with pace. It was just that sort of like dribble, and then a little bit of explosive pace. Not that much, but it was still enough just to get by him every time. And
did he make Jordan Ibe look like Leroy Sané?
He kind of did, and it felt like a youngster who wasn't that confident and wasn't quite sure being thrown into a game, and it showed. But strangely, that's how a lot of the other performances seemed. Granit Xhaka completely lost Jordan Ibe for the winner for Bournemouth, and just did the kind of Granit Xhaka thing. It was a thing that you got stick for when we did our Was it our very specific predictions, or was that our season preview from the Community Shield?
It was basically me predicting that he would have some terribly misplaced passes, and then he had 100% pass in the Community Shield, and then he had some terribly misplaced passes at the start of the season,
and just some terrible positioning, and it just like I really don't say this.
He's like a deep midfielder who's not a defensive midfielder.
Yeah, but it's just I don't say this to like pour salt in the wounds. I really don't, Arsenal fans, but it's you just look at that team and it's just like I don't understand. I don't get some of these parts, and I don't get how a team like Arsenal are suddenly on the verge of losing more players to teams that they shouldn't be losing players to and not replacing them. And I know this is all stuff that Arsenal fans say week in and week out. It's just not something that I have like personally experienced because I don't have that emotional stake in Arsenal. But just today watching it, I was just like, really? Like, this is the team?
I had an interesting viewing of, figuring out that sentence as I went along, of BT Sport today after the game. And they were talking, it was Glenn Hoddle, Rio Ferdinand and Jermaine Jenas talking about Theo Walcott. Because Ferdinand had been on the 2006 World Cup squad with Walcott when he was, 16? He'd just moved to Arsenal. I don't think he'd ever played in the Premier League. He just played for Southampton. And they were really talking, I feel bad saying this about Theo Walcott, but they were talking about how he just really hasn't progressed much beyond what he was and where he was. Like, he's still fast, he's still like got an eye for goal, all that kind of stuff, but he's never taken that next step of like figuring out space and doing all that good stuff. And they essentially laid some of the blame with Walcott and some of it with Arsene Wenger for not developing players, right? And then you think of Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, going back to that Liverpool game, how unhappy he's been at Arsenal for a little while. And if Wenger could have got a performance like we saw against Man City out of Oxlade-Chamberlain for Arsenal regularly, that's a much better team. That's a much better player than Granit Xhaka, for example.
And I do have to wonder then if part of the reason why Wenger looked so kind of like forlorn at the end and sounded just so dejected is because, like, I mean, if this is another situation, another team, especially winless in the last 6, I think, for Arsenal, it's not a good run. And I do think that other managers really would be, if this was Eddie Howe at Bournemouth, maybe that's a bad example, but I think he'd still be there. But it would be a lot more pressure. And certainly if it was David Moyes at West Ham, I think they might sack him in the same season they hired him. But it's Wenger, so he gets that grace period.
He has that 2-year contract, right, from last summer. So he has this season and another season as well.
But it felt like a man who looked at that squad and was just like, I don't know what to do with this. And on top of that, it's a weird situation in which a lot of times you'll get like, okay, we're rebuilding, we're getting rid of some of these players, we're selling that guy, we're demoting him, and then we're going to bring in a few names. And it just feels like they've already done that a couple times. And so you still have like, oh yeah, he's still there, and he's still there. They haven't gotten rid of him either. Like, oh, Jack Wilshere is now an integral part of that midfield.
Yeah.
Wasn't he playing for Bournemouth last year? Like, it's just weird moments of not quite understanding what's happening at a club like Arsenal.
Oh, the other thing, so with Alexis
I'm really
Sanchez,
sorry, Arsenal fans. I know this is terrible. I apologize.
Final thing on Arsenal then. Alexis Sanchez, my understanding is that he's going to Manchester United because Manchester United were willing to pay more than Man City were for a player with only 6 months left on his contract. Is that what you've been reading as well?
I think pay more to Arsenal and also to Alexis Sanchez, yes. And apparently, hilariously, his things were set for Man City, and then the agent was like, but Man United will pay more, and City's response was like, okay, bye. Like, okay, thanks, bye. Like, we're good.
Oh, okay, so
I still don't think that's a very good move for Man United, as insane as that sounds. Yes.
I disagree.
Yeah. That's
I guess we'll talk more when it happens.
Sure.
If and when it happens.
Yeah.
We'll see each other again in the studio.
We probably will.
So we've been very down on Arsenal. We should give some thumbs up to Bournemouth. I'm going to say thumbs up to Callum Wilson for getting in the way for his goal, which was the equaliser, and getting out of the way for the winner, which was for Jordan Ibe. So if you haven't seen these goals, the first goal is a cross that comes in from, I believe it's Fraser, sort of whips a cross in. And I think Callum Chambers and Peter Cech are both like, we got this. Callum Wilson just darts in from the side, gets between both of them, gets to the ball. It's 1-1. It's Arsenal 1, Bournemouth 1. The second goal, Callum Wilson has a nice sort of like, it's a bit of a juggle in the area, right, to try and get himself out of trouble. Overhits it a little bit, sees Jordan Ibe barreling in, and he's like, all right, doesn't he jump and make sure to jump over the shot?
He gets poked away. An Arsenal defender gets it.
Oh, does it?
Yeah.
Okay.
It gets poked away at the last second, and so I think but you're still correct that like it's poked away and he thinks, oh, I should step. Okay, nope, I'm not going near that one.
He goes to go after the ball, but then he sees Ibe coming, and then I think as Ibe shoots, because Ibe just hits it hard, basically, right? I think Wilson kind of jumps and moves his leg out of the way so as not to ruin the whole thing.
Because it hits Cech. I mean, it's not a good finish. Ibe hits it straight at
but it is
Cech,
a finish.
But it goes off Cech and in, and I think it is because of that distraction. He sees it late.
I also looked up Callum Wilson's international options. So he's 25 years old. He's played for England under 21s. He also has Irish parentage. Sorry, grandparentage, I believe. So is Ireland eligible if they want to sort of ask him to make a one-time switch?
I've
heard it's very fashionable these days to make one-time switches.
Oh, I got to do that. But I want to say what we're talking about. Jordan Ibe also, I'm going to say thumbs up to him just for his passing and pressing. He really caused problems.
I think you saw more of this game than I did, so I didn't see much of it beyond that.
It was just like he didn't... There were moments he had those sort of Andy Robertson moments where he chased people all the way across the field, but then it was just also like making smart decisions as to when to commit and not just always running all over the place.
Yeah.
But I think it does in the end come down to the fact that he scores the game winner. That factors into me saying, yeah, he probably deserved a thumbs up there.
All right. Anything else from that game?
Nope.
All right. Then I am going to say a quick thumbs up to DeAndre Yedlin for an off-the-line clearance in Newcastle 1, Swansea 1. It wasn't fancy, it wasn't flash, it wasn't like diving and stretching. He just stood on the line. Boney had a shot towards the end that would have made it 2-1 Swansea, which would have been a great result for Swansea, terrible for Newcastle because it would have dragged them down closer to the relegation zone.
In the mire.
Yedlin was in the way and got it off the line. There we go.
Hooray.
Thumbs up to DeAndre Yedlin being in the way.
Yep.
That's all I got from that game.
I'm going to say from Huddersfield 1, West Ham 4, thumbs up. I can't believe how many times I've done this in the last month or two. Thumbs up to David Moyes again for watching film and setting a trap. Now this one,
is this the goal kick?
Yes.
Yeah.
This one I'm stealing straight up from Match of the Day. I will own that one right here.
BBC or NBC?
BBC. They did a really good job of breaking this down, but they compared it to a Chelsea. I don't know if they did as intentionally, but it was basically Huddersfield being intent on building out of the back, goalkeeper from a goal kick, either passing to the two center-back spread wide or the one holding midfielder who drops in. And Chelsea basically let that happen, but then spring that trap, get the ball back. Bakayoko, I think it was, scores. In this game, West Ham do the exact same thing. Like almost to a point.
Is it Lally who receives the ball?
I can't remember
Number
who
18?
it is.
I've seen this footage.
But it's basically, I think it's Mark Noble and Arnautovic. Like, to the extent of, like, we're not setting a trap. Like, I don't know how you could be... Like, if the two of them were, like, reading newspapers with, like, eye holes cut out.
Or just
like,
that's
the only
in their
way.
Pockets and whistling.
Yes. Like, it's so obvious.
I like newspapers with eyes cut out.
I mean, it really is. It's so obvious that they are inviting that pass to the holding midfielder that, like, I just imagine as soon as the goalkeeper plays that ball... They're just like, he did it! Can you believe it? And they all just swarm, win the ball back, score right away. It was so obvious that they had watched footage and seen that and said, that's a vulnerability. Let's go for that.
Yeah, so West Ham 4, Huddersfield Town 1. Captain Picard probably not happy about
Probably not. Probably not.
I have got thumbs up to Mauricio Pellegrino for taking the long view on life. So,
speaking of handballs a few minutes ago?
So Southampton were 2-0 up away to Watford. It finished 2-2, right? Watford 2, Southampton 2. Pellegrino, if you don't know, is the Southampton manager. Watford's equaliser was 100% a handball, right? It was Decore. There's a ball. It's Troy Deeney sort of nods it towards him. Decore, I think he's going for this ball with his head, but kind of misses it. And so it's not like a punch like Maradona's was in '86. It's more of it just like hits his hand, and he's got forward momentum, so it kind of almost carries it with him and goes in 2-2, right? Pellegrino...
I was just going to add, but if you think about like your natural movements when you're heading the ball, like your hands come up, but then they go like back with, like to give you that sort of force.
Yeah.
And that's why I think Ducore's hands are up. But when we say up, it is sort of like, you know, like hands up versus Maradona's like fist pump way above his head.
And punching the ball.
Slightly different,
Yeah. So Pellegrino, after the game, you would expect him to be upset, right? Because it's, 3 points lost. 2 points dropped.
He's always bubbly, that Pellegrino.
He's talking about Roger Easter, referee. He says, we have to support this person because everybody makes mistakes. Sometimes mistakes are for you, sometimes against you. That's part of our job. What a laid-back guy.
I mean,
Also,
he keeps it level.
I would also say thumbs up to Troy Deeney,
Yeah.
the Watford striker who had the assist on this. They asked him, was it handball or a header? And he said, well, mine was a header.
I think that's where you answer yes and move right along.
What else you got from the Premier League before we move overseas?
That might be it for me from the Premier League.
Let me look through my notes here, see what else we got. Same for me.
All right.
Else, yeah. Oh, no, Spurs 4, Everton 0.
Oh, yeah.
Have you seen this?
That happened.
It certainly did happen. Thumbs down to Wayne Rooney for finger-wagging a linesman. It doesn't work.
I'm
going to get you
I missed that. No, I missed that.
So Rooney scores...
The goal that he was offside?
Yeah,
I must have looked down when he did the finger wag.
And I just remember him doing this quite a lot throughout his career. So when he's offside and he disagrees with the linesman, he does the finger wag. He was definitely offside. I always find it slightly annoying because what are you doing? Are you trying to pressure the linesman to sort of be more on your side in the future? I don't think it works.
I think a lot of times from my experience, that is a lot of times you trying to show your teammates, like, no, I wasn't. It's you trying to be like, no, I got that right.
Yeah.
I'm making the smart run. I'm not at fault here. This guy's getting it wrong. As opposed to like, yep, I suck. Like you're trying to maybe downplay the mistake you might have made. That
makes sense.
Even if you don't think you did. Like, I think a lot of times, if I really think I'm onside and I've been called off, I will definitely be like, no, I definitely wasn't. And the only thing that's like makes that worse is when you like walk off at halftime or something and the whole bench is like, dude, you were way offside. You're totally wrong. And in this case, when you have millions and millions of people around the world watching you, seeing you be offside, they can probably do that for Wayne Rooney.
You know who he denied an assist to as well by being offside?
Who's that?
Tosun.
Cenk.
Yeah.
Cenk Tosun.
Cenk Tosun. That's how you pronounce his name.
Yep.
Yeah, so it was his debut or maybe his first start. Didn't get the assist because Rooney was offside. And then Spurs scored 4 goals. And it got ugly.
Here's why I want to say, like, in defense of me for getting this, that it really was, like, I looked at the scores. I didn't watch much soccer on Saturday. And I looked at the scores and saw that one. And usually when you have a big team thumping another big team, you're like, whoa, that's crazy. And it really was. I was just like, yeah, okay. Like, that seems about right. Harry Kane can't stop scoring. I'm going to assume he got a goal or two in this one. That proved to be correct.
Have you seen these goals?
Oh, yes.
It's a lot of Spurs helping each other out, I would say. Because my first one, I've got a quick run of them here. Okay, thumbs up to Son for turning Serge Aurier's mishit shot into an assist, right?
I enjoyed him turning around and being like, yep, I did that for you.
Yeah. I really love Son.
Yeah.
And then maybe thumbs up Harry Kane for doing the same for Son on the next goal. This is the goal where Son does the roulette type thing. He does the spin at midfield and accelerates down the left. I think he sees the goal, head down, shoots. It's going a little wide. Harry Kane gets in the way and finishes it at the far post as if it was like a ball across the top of the box.
And is this the one where Harry Kane was maybe offside?
Yes, okay. Yeah. He possibly was by a little bit, I think. But it says to me that Spurs are so good at that, like zipping the ball across the front of the goalkeeper for a teammate to finish thing. I honestly can't tell now when they're shots that happen to be finished by a teammate who's doing their teammate a favour, or whether these are deliberate things to try and sort of trick the goalkeeper. It's very much a Spurs thing.
Get Pulisic on that team?
Yeah, get Pulisic on that team.
All right.
Would that be a step up from Dortmund or not? It's a conversation for another day.
We've had this conversation so many times. I really don't know.
The Spurs Dortmund specifically? Or
no, just generally speaking, what is
Dortmund,
the step up from Dortmund? What is the realistic step up that allows him to still play?
Dembele says Barcelona.
Well, yeah, but then we see how much Dembele is playing for Barcelona. Although there are outlying factors there.
Final thumbs up, because you know I love it. Dele Alli backheel assist. You see this?
No, yeah.
It was maybe like the outside of his boot, but he made it look like a backheel.
I mean, I feel like you're willing to give him credit for the backheel because you love a backheel yourself.
Correct.
So why not?
Correct. All right, and thus concludes our Premier League roundup.
Daryl, inopportune backheel, Grove.
Hello, Laura, if you're listening. Where would you like to go next, Tyler? I'm thinking La Liga, maybe Bundesliga.
First, I want to say she really did kind of ruin backheels for you. I just want to throw that in there because it's not a thing that I ever really would have focused on, but she brought it to light to the extent that now every time you do it, I'm like, Daryl Grove backheel.
For listeners who don't know the history on this, Laura is former co-host of ours and former teammate. She played in our team. She called me out for a lot of backheel. I still maintain I only do them when they're sort of useful.
It's interesting that Daryl is
on the Dele Alli of local soccer.
I'm just saying you're avoiding an adjective there because it's not just that we made fun of you for backheeling, it's that you were made fun of for bad backheels.
All right, let's talk some other leagues.
Let's do it.
Actually, do you want to go to Ligue 1? Because some crazy stuff happened there.
Sure. Nantes, I believe. I can never get that one right. 0. PSG 1. The game in which Claudio Ranieri said he was going to park 3 buses against PSG.
Is that
PSG,
right?
Yes. PSG got the 1-0.
He needed 4.
Yeah, he did.
Finished 1-0 PSG.
It did.
And held Di Maria, correct?
Yes, I think. But that was not the talking point.
The talking
point of this one is going to be thumbs down to referee Tony Chaperon for... I'm going to say giving a yellow card that probably shouldn't have been yellow and also kicking a player.
I've got for ultimate pettiness.
Yeah. So, all right, you want to talk us through or do you want me to?
It's up to you.
Sure, I'll go. So it's basically PSG are on a break, sort of. Kylian Mbappe has the ball dribbling at the goalkeeper/defense as he is wont to do.
Be afraid.
Yes, and basically Nantes players are chasing PSG players trying to get back into position. My watch agrees. And the referee cuts across, I forget, it was Diego Carlos, thank you. And it really, when I first saw this...
And they're both behind the play, right?
Yes.
They're both trying to catch up to the play.
It's like right around midfield, I think, or they're in the center circle. And I really thought Diego Carlos, upon first viewing, shoved him in the back because the referee is so angry that when he falls over, there's contact, the referee falls over.
Yeah.
And he really does just kick out. Like, he rolls over, gets up, and the way like an angry Dele Alli would kick a player for being perceived for foul.
I'm going to say 2 seasons ago, Dele Alli.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah. And so I was prepared to come in here and give them both thumbs down. Thumbs down to Diego Carlos for shoving a referee in the back. Thumbs down to the referee for kicking out.
Tony Chapron.
But then Daryl Grove was like, I don't think there's any shove there. We went and watched it again. There is no shove. It is just the referee cutting across him when they're both running at full speed.
That's what it is.
I mean, if this is an automobile situation, the referee just cuts him off and then gets mad that there was contact.
He's paying the insurance, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and in Carlos' defense...
He's getting the ticket.
He's chasing Kylian Mbappe, right? I mean, from a distance, but he's trying to catch up to Kylian Mbappe, who is no slouch.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, and the referee really does go right across the front of his path.
Yeah.
And as the referee's going down, I think Carlos does touch him, but he kind of like taps him on the hip. He's almost trying to grab him to stop him going down.
No, that's what it is.
I really think that's what it is.
That is definitely what it is, because that was what I saw as like, oh, he shoves him in the lower back a little bit. That's what sends him sprawling. And you watch it again, and no, you're absolutely right. It's like, it is definitely the, oh no, there's been contact. I'm going to try to help him. Too late. He's fallen.
Yep.
And then I think he gets the kick and is sort of surprised by it. And you see him turn and maybe says something.
His mouth moves. He says something.
I mean, if you want to give Chaperon the benefit of the doubt, you would say he must say something that is the equivalent of dissent, so then there's a yellow card. But Chaperon awards a free kick to PSG, a direct free kick, which I believe can only be done if there is like physical contact or something like that.
Including with an official.
Yes.
So he does think he's been fouled.
Then the booking for the dissent isn't related to the foul that's called?
I'm not sure.
It's very confusing.
Either way, it should not have been a yellow card,
No.
right?
And also a second yellow.
Because he got a yellow earlier, so Carlos ends up getting sent off. Yeah. I really think the referee, I mean, one, you should not kick out at a player, right? He's probably going to face a massive
I would assume so.
Suspension or fine or banishment. He might be banished forever for kicking a player who he's just run in front of and cut off, right? And then if the player says something to you because you just kicked him, I think you've got to sort of get a handle on your emotions, channel Mauricio Pellegrino, and be like, okay, calm down. This is my fault. I should just apologise to the player, and then we'll just get back to the soccer. Yeah,
and instead, I think he steers the opposite direction, because I genuinely believe, based on nothing other than reviewing this about 10 times now, that I've been in that situation where the guy thinks I fouled him and is like really vocal about it, and I've turned around and I'm like, dude, I didn't get you. Like, what are you talking about? And I feel like that's exactly what Diego Carlos was doing here. Like, I didn't foul you. Like, I didn't mean to do that.
I imagine him saying, what are you doing?
And then yellow card. Don't talk to me. We kick you some more.
So definite thumbs down to Tony Chaperon.
Yep.
Should we? We don't know much else about League One, right? I didn't see any of the League One action.
Other games happened.
For Tony Chaperon. Other games happened. I'm going to then say thumbs up to Barcelona for being the only unbeaten team in Europe's top 5 leagues.
Yep.
Now that Man City have lost, Barcelona are the only unbeaten team after a 4-2 away win over Real Sociedad. After being 2 goals down, they came back.
They sure did.
With some great goals.
Yeah, I mean, they made it dramatic. They were just like, well, we don't want to stay unbeaten in just like normal, regular fashion. We've got to at least make people think that something's going to happen. Yeah. And then Luis Suarez had his Keith Hernandez moment and chipped the goalkeeper from an absurd angle.
So if you imagine the Firmino chip, but from like twice or 3 times the distance, it was like a big Firmino, is what I'm going to call this Luis Suarez goal. Yep. It made no sense, but it was perfect. It may have been across to the far post. I did see, I'm not sure it was. I saw someone streaking into the far post, but it did not get to them because it hit the side net.
Things can be 2 things.
But
I would say it's even more impressive because the Liverpool goal comes about from like a fast break, and it sort of is like John Stones dispossessed all of a sudden. Oh no, keeper has to spring into action. And this one, it's kind of like Barcelona being Barcelona. There's possession, they're moving around a little bit. It gets to Suarez. He has that chip, and it's real pretty.
And then Leo Messi, great free kick, finishes 4-2 to Barcelona. Apparently this is a big deal because they failed to win at Real Sociedad Stadium since 2007. So this is kind of like a bogey ground, as they say.
Well, thank God they signed Felipe Coutinho. What else would they be doing right now?
Dembele came on and got some more minutes as
good.
well. So he's getting back to full fitness. So Barcelona are either going to be extra scary in the second half of the season, or it's all going to kind of fall apart because they can't fit Coutinho and Dembele in there.
Well, they won't have much pressure from their usual rivals, at least not the way things are going.
Oh, dear.
Yeah.
So Real Madrid lost 1-0 to Villarreal.
Yep.
In the late 80-something minute. It was Real Madrid with a corner. Villarreal broke Villarreal scored.
I want to say thumbs up to the assistant referee for this one because they break. The ball is played in for Ines Unal, who I think...
Yeah, young Turk, like the new Hakan Şükür I've heard him called many times.
Young Turk can be weird to say. But there's like, I think it's maybe just tiny offside, maybe. But I think in that situation,
think so. I watched this.
I think those tie goes to the runner. I think Ray Hudson at the time was saying, "Ooh, he might be offside." But I look at it again, and I think even if he is, it's so close that I think it's a credit to the AR because it's in the Bernabeu. And I think it would be very easy to think, oh, these people are going to be real mad. He's offside. And so I appreciate that he let that play. Then Unal goes through. His shot is saved by Keylor Navas, but Pablo Fornals with a beautiful
who I've got to say,
goal.
I was not aware of. Nope. He has one cap for Spain. This is a guy we maybe should be aware of. 21-year-old attacking midfielder, Pablo Fornals. Remember the name.
I will.
It was a nice chip.
Because I didn't really understand what it was when I first heard it. I was like, Fornal? Why are they making it plural? I don't understand this.
So he chipped Navas, which may make him the contender for the best chip of the weekend. Even with Firmino and
I think
Luis
Suarez
Suarez
wins it for me still. But it's a great chip. I would say the only thing is that Navas had already made a very good one-on-one save at that point.
Yeah.
So you can't really blame him for that one.
Yeah, I guess
and being able to blame the goalkeeper for the chip is like factors into the beauty of the chip.
Fair enough. I had this as thumbs up to Villarreal for successfully spring-loading the corner kick counter-attack.
It works, man.
So we've talked about this a few times, right? If you get everybody back for a corner kick, you can break at pace, especially if you have some fast guys on your team like Cheryshev. Yep. Cheryshev was the number 7 who went streaming down the left wing, former Real Madrid player. Do you remember the Cheryshev story?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
So he was the guy that went on loan to Villarreal for Real Madrid back in the day, played in the Copa del Rey for Villarreal, got a yellow card accumulation. No one at Real Madrid spotted it. So when he played for Real Madrid the next season in the Copa del Rey and scored, someone figured it out that he should not have been allowed to play. Got Real Madrid booted out of the Copa del Rey.
There you go.
Cheryshev. So he comes back to bite Real Madrid once again.
A lot of that this weekend. A lot of that going around.
Oh.
Man, I do want to say, like, this is a conversation for maybe like another show or just you and me whenever we're hanging out this week in Philly.
Oh, yeah.
I really want to know how you prepare a team to do that counterattack break from the corner. Because it's not just like getting everybody back and then launching. You have to get people in the right position because you have to be able to get the ball and then retain that possession and play quick.
Well, so for example, Cheryshev is I think the farthest player forward when he initially starts breaking down the left.
Yeah.
And Unal has to kind of catch up and then burst through the middle. So it's got to be timed pretty well, right?
And then it just must be like fighting instinct. Just like, get this ball clear.
Yeah.
Like no. Let's just complete some passes, see where we end up.
All right, so to the Bundesliga, a lot of bad news.
Yeah.
In terms of if you want to watch young Americans.
Should we run through it real fast?
Yeah, I've got a quick list of Christian Pulisic didn't play for Dortmund against Wolfsburg because he was injured. Jadon Sancho did play, though.
It led me to spend about 15 minutes Googling Christian Pulisic transfer rumors because that's...
it was like an Alexis Sanchez situation.
The way the window goes is whenever a player suddenly, who's like maybe had some rumors, suddenly doesn't play, and it's like, oh, he had an injury, ? It makes me wonder, but nothing.
Actually, side note on the Arsenal, Arsene Wenger, Alexis Sanchez thing. I actually quite like Wenger's honesty when he was talking about why Sanchez didn't play this weekend. And he said it's basically because this move is about to happen.
Yeah.
Most managers would have been like, oh, he had a bad back or he's not feeling well. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, Wenger has experience. So at a certain point, he's got to be honest with it.
So as I said, Dortmund played Wolfsburg, not featuring for Wolfsburg, and injured John Brooks. Yeah, so John Brooks still injured.
Okay, 0 for 2. What about over to Schalke?
2. Over at Schalke, Weston McKennie did not get on the field. He was on the bench for Schalke as they lost 3-1 to RB Leipzig. Hooray. Liverpool fans were pleased to know that Naby Keita scored in this game.
And you came in for some criticism, is that correct?
Yes, so I tweeted that basically McKennie didn't play for Schalke, didn't see the field.
Yeah.
They looked terrible and lost 3-1. And my implication was that that's good for him because at least they looked bad without him, which gives him more chance of getting back in the starting 11, right? So a couple of people kind of took that as the reason Schalke looked bad is because they didn't have the world's greatest midfielder, Weston McKennie. Which, I mean, I get that we're biased, right? So you kind of got to own that.
Yeah.
I was more thinking of just getting him back in the first 11 than he's the best player ever. He would have beaten RB Leipzig on his own.
Yep.
But I would have enjoyed seeing McKennie versus Naby Keita.
All right. I'm with you on that one. But it's okay because over in Hamburg, Bobby Wood started.
Oh, I didn't follow up with Bobby Wood.
They lost 1-0 and he was subbed off in the 74th minute. Yep. But Aaron Johansson got a minute.
Did he?
I think so. I think he came on like the 89th minute for Werder Bremen.
Oh dear. All right.
So moving on.
Moving on. It's the first week back for the Bundesliga, as you'll know
Mm-hmm.
if you heard of the Matt Herman interview this week. Things can only get better.
Yes. So anything else in the Bundesliga?
No, nothing else.
I'm going to say
we'll try again next week with the
a
Bundesliga.
hesitant thumbs up to Wales. Do you know why I'm taking us to Wales? Do you know who their new national team manager is?
No.
It was announced, I believe, a couple hours ago.
Yeah?
Ryan Giggs.
Ooh,
Ryan Giggs, exactly.
Why are we giving this the thumbs up?
And that's what I'm saying, a hesitant thumbs up, because on the surface, I was
a
like,
hesitant thumbs down.
like it's a job that allows him to kind of like get some attention. National team, if you succeed,
will he show up to manage the friendlies?
There's the question, because it didn't occur to me until I started reading some of the reaction to this. The reaction, not great.
Yeah, he was not a faithful or sort of committed international soccer player.
Ooh, I have injury.
Yeah.
I can't play.
What if for the first friendly,
Well, I retired when I was 12.
every single player calls in sick?
I mean, you never know. You never know. But
So,
yes.
So Welsh fans not happy?
As far as I've seen, yeah, it's the reaction is sort of exactly what you said. A lot of jokes of like, so is he actually going to show up for the games? Or
Oh no, did I do the obvious joke?
is Sir Alex Ferguson going to let him manage? Or how? And for people who don't know, just a quick catch up. It's basically when he was playing with Manchester United, Sir Alex Ferguson didn't encourage him to play for Wales. Is the generous way to put that. There were a lot of injuries that happened right before the break, and
Hamstring
then
injuries.
Giggs did retire at a fairly young age, didn't really represent Wales too much.
And
At a
Wales
time
never,
when they
Wales never went to a tournament
Nope.
while Giggs was playing. I think partly because he was never fully in.
No, but yeah, I agree. And there was definitely a time when, like, it's still a young Gareth Bale, but you did have that, like, Gareth Bale, Craig Bellamy, Ryan Giggs could have all played together, and that's a decent international side. And so it is sort of disappointing, but we'll see if maybe he redeems himself and finds a way to win
He
with
better
Wales.
totally redeem himself.
Yeah.
Okay, before we move on to scouting, I've got a correction from last week's show. Juan Pablo Torres, the young American who is playing over in Belgium. I think I said on the last show that he was Mexican-American. Incorrect. He's Colombian-American. Born in Georgia to Colombian parents. I heard about that as well, so I wanted to make sure to correct that for the record.
I'm not sure I accept your apology.
It's not for you, Taylor.
I'm going to have to go think about this one.
It's not for you.
All right, we'll see. We'll see if I get there by the end of the show.
All right, do we have some exciting young Americans to talk about in today's Total Soccer Show Scouting Network?
Many.
Many? All right, let's do it.
Starting off with Kellen Acosta, scouted by Carolyn Akari. He is a 22-year-old American midfielder for FC
know
Dallas.
who he is, Taylor.
Acosta's omission from the January camp initially fueled speculation that he was headed to Europe, as was widely reported in August. However, it turns out that FC Dallas did not release any of their players so that they can prepare for the CONCACAF Champions League. Although official MLS training may not start until late this month, players are training together informally.
I wanted to boo this, but then it actually makes sense if you're going to sort of have the CONCACAF Champions League in this sort of weird preseason time. And we always complain about MLS teams being cold for the knockout. They may as well do this, FC Dallas.
Yeah, and I would also say if you go back to our 2017 specific predictions for Major League Soccer, we were very much all in on FC Dallas. Things did not go well. So you could also maybe say that this is them saying, like, we are rebounding, we are rebuilding, we are focusing on this season. We do not have time for you to go play in Camp Cupcake.
And looks like we're having Kellen Acosta another season in Major League Soccer.
There we go.
Yeah.
For now.
Nick Raynon is scouting Freddie Woodman, the 20-year-old English goalkeeper for Newcastle. Freddie Woodman, is it in the scouting report? It's not. Freddie Woodman was the U20 World Cup goalkeeper for England, saved some penalties. He might be my future hero. Nick says, even with Rafa Benitez naming a mostly first-choice starting 11, Freddie Woodman made his senior debut for Newcastle in the FA Cup third-round tie against League Two leaders Luton. Woodman was rarely tested in the 3-1 home win, but had a solid all-round performance, though the nerves of youth and making his debut shone through on a few occasions. Woodman typically starts for the Newcastle under-23s, where coach and club legend Peter Beardsley will be taking a leave of absence. Did you read the story? As the club investigates numerous claims of bullying and racism toward his players. He is the last person I would have expected.
Yeah. That's the way it goes sometimes.
Really strange.
We will keep an eye on that story, as will, I'm assuming, Nick. Meanwhile, Tim Ketcher, also a Newcastle fan, also scouting a Newcastle player. It's Adam Armstrong, 20-year-old English striker. Adam had a tough loan at championship squad Bolton Wanderers, scoring 3 goals in 23 appearances and gradually losing his starting spot. He's now down a rung at Blackburn, currently third in League One until the end of the season. Not a great sign overall, says Tim.
Score some goals down there, Adam. Zach Lippert is scouting Izzy Brown, 21-year-old English attacker on loan at Brighton and Hove Albion from Chelsea. Zach says Izzy has confirmed via Twitter and Instagram that he has a torn ACL in his right knee and will require surgery to fix it. I like the idea that social media is where you get confirmed medical diagnoses. Jeff Schlupp was the only other player involved in the collision and was substituted shortly afterwards. But it sounds like he was only in a walking boot afterward. Best wishes for both players going forward.
Generous from Zach. I appreciate that. Chloe Crumry scouting Sophia Smith, 17-year-old American forward for the Real Colorado U18/U19 Development Academy. The 17-year-old forward from Fort Collins, Colorado, home of New Belgium, I believe, was named the 2017 U.S. Soccer Young Female Player of the Year by U.S. Soccer. That makes sense. Sophia had an eventful 2017 by playing a total of 19 games for 4 different youth national teams. She is committed to attending NCAA champion Stanford in the fall of 2018. That is unfair.
Michael Fisk is scouting, not shouting, Andreas Christensen, the 21-year-old Danish centre-back for Chelsea. Michael says Chelsea FC have announced they have signed Andreas Christensen to a long-term contract till the end of 2022. No information regarding weekly wages was available in the club's official statement. I'm going to say I'm sure he's doing fine.
I'm going to say many. Many is what I'm going to say. Rich Hunter scouting Nathan Ake, the 22-year-old Dutch defender for Bournemouth. I said it without looking to you to see if I pronounced it right, so progress. Ake was named Player of the Month for December by Bournemouth fans. He netted in Bournemouth's 3-3 Boxing Day draw against West Ham. Ake turns 23 in February, so he looks forward to many, many years of productive football for club and country.
I'm going to rate your pronunciation pretty much okay. Ed De Horatius is scouting Federico Bernardeschi, the 23-year-old Italian attacking mid for Fiorentina. You're welcome.
I'm still scowling at Daryl.
Fede scored the lone goal in a 1-0 win over Cagliari, which puts Juve 1 point back from Serie A leaders Napoli. The goal, a relatively easy finish, wasn't the story, however. Fede appeared a few minutes later to block a cross in the box with his arm, and the referee opted not to check VAR. Not only would Cagliari have a potentially game-time PK, but that would also have been Fede's second yellow. The Cagliari coach, after the game, chased the ref down the tunnel and posited that refs favour the bigger clubs. Never heard that before about refs favouring bigger clubs in Serie A.
Ever, yeah.
The win was further darkened by Blaise Matuidi's allegations of racism by the Cagliari fans. Quote, I experienced racism during the match. Weak people try to intimidate with hate. I am not a hater and can only be sorry for those who set bad examples, unquote, from Blaise Matuidi.
Not ideal. There. Rich Rolson scouting Ian Harkes, 22-year-old American midfielder for DC United.
And the US national team?
DC United midfielder Ian Harkes was a surprise addition to the January camp roster, marking his first call-up to the senior team. In his rookie season with DC United, Harkes scored 2 goals and 1 assist in 25 games.
Daniel Jones is scouting Cody Cropper, 24, soon-to-be 25-year-old American keeper for New England. Daniel says Cropper was also called into Camp Cupcake.
Brevity is the soul of wit. Gustavo Mendes scouting. No, I did not edit that more than... He sent me the list of the goalkeepers called in, but that was about it. Gustavo Mendes scouting Nebeyu Perry, 18-year-old Swedish-American attacker for AIK. Perry is enjoying his offseason, but Gustavo is looking forward to seeing him play when the season starts on January 20th.
Trent Brokaw is scouting Timothy Tillman. Big news here. 19-year-old German-American for Bayern Munich. Tab Ramos has confirmed that Tillman could end up playing for the USA, stating, quote, he would have been with us here, but he was injured. That's the youth national team summit, right? He told me he's ready to go and ready to join us, and I'm excited to have him in the group because we haven't had him in before, unquote. If Timmy does indeed decide to represent the US over Germany, it would require a one-time switch with FIFA. He could join the US U20 camp in March, but could not play in any matches until the official paperwork is completed.
Hooray?
Yeah, I think so. I haven't seen enough of him to really have a feel for Timothy Tillman, but I know that he's highly rated.
So, future of the U.S. national team? Let's going to throw that in there right now?
Let's not
future
go
of American soccer? You don't want to add him onto that one?
No, not yet.
You have enough bandwagons out there?
Yep.
Dan Martini scouting Manuel Locatelli. Locatelli? Yeah, Locatelli.
No,
20-year-old. Yeah, I know. But I always forget how I'm supposed to pronounce that, and either way I get it wrong. 20-year-old Italian defensive midfielder for AC Milan. Manuel turned 20 on January 8th and celebrated by subbing into Milan's 1-0 win over Crotone. There are rumors that Locatelli could be used as part of a package to sign Udinese midfielder Jakub Jankto. Dan says this seems unlikely to him, but if the internet says it, it's got to be true.
Christopher Jenkins is scouting Jadon Sancho, the 17-year-old English left winger for Borussia Dortmund. Christopher says Sancho started his first game for Dortmund in friendlies against Dusseldorf and Zulte Waregem. Likely as a result, he started this weekend in a 0-0 draw with Wolfsburg in the Bundesliga. Not a bad start to 2018 for the youngster. He essentially benefited from Pulisic's absence.
Exactly. 1-0 would have been a better start.
Also, he hit the post. He did.
Ben Sundstrom. Are you counting that as a positive or a negative?
Positive.
All right.
Yeah.
Ben Sundstrom scouting Joshua Pineda, 15-year-old American left winger for Ajax. Joshua was included in the 153-player youth summit, and for good reason. In a game with Ajax Academy, he cut inside a la Arjen Robben and slotted a lovely goal into the far side netting. He scores goals, does young Joshua.
That's a name worth remembering. Mm-hmm. Michael Hartmann is scouting Josh Sargent, the almost 18-year-old American forward for Werder Bremen. Michael says, Josh spent the winter break training with Bremen, notched an assist in his first under-23 friendly against Dynamo Dresden. Even better, head coach Florian Kofeld has revealed that Sargent will train with the first team this coming week, although their primary aim is to give him time to develop. I've got an update on this. Michael may already have emailed, but Sargent scored for Werder Bremen U23s this weekend.
Hero. Ian Shanks scouting Fernando Arce Jr., 21-year-old American midfielder / defender for Club Tijuana. Fernando Arce Jr.'s loan to second division Dorados de Sinaloa has ended, and he has returned to his parent club. He played 500-plus minutes in the Apertura as a midfielder, but is now listed as a defender by Los Cholos. That's where he's been playing with the U20s and the reserve team as Tijuana seek to help him learn his new position.
Best of luck, Fernando Arce Jr. Alan Bedford is scouting Jonathan Lewis, the 20-year-old American left winger for NYCFC. This is the guy Matt Doyle was very upset was not in the January camp roster. All right. Alan says it looks like Jonathan Lewis is facing more competition for his place at NYCFC as the team has signed 23-year-old attacking midfielder Ismail Tajouri from FK Austria Vienna. The Swiss-born Libyan featured for Vienna in 36 matches last season, 10 goals scored, 17 this season, but has yet to find the back of the net. Since Jonathan Lewis needs more development, fans think he needs to be first off the bench while Tajouri rotates with / backs up Maxi Morales. I hope we don't get an NYCFC situation where young Americans need to leave to get minutes.
Yeah, Matt Doyle would disagree with that.
I am worried by
MLS. Not with
MLS.
you, but with this statement.
Yeah, I'm worried by MLS with all these sort of basically foreign players coming in, and I keep thinking, oh, but that's where my guy plays. You know what I mean?
That was the closest I've ever heard you come to. They took our jabs.
Yeah, I mean, kind of. They took our Spartan spots.
I'll get Randy Marsh on it.
They took our minutes.
Dylan Veach scouting Kai Havertz, 18-year-old German attacking midfielder for Bayer Leverkusen.
It's not a scouting report until we hear about Kai Havertz.
Kai Havertz. Kai started and played the full 90 in one of Leverkusen's biggest games thus far in the season on Friday, a home loss against Bayern Munich to open the second half of the season. It ended 3-1 to Bayern, but Havertz put in a solid shift and helped with Leverkusen's high press. Dylan adds that it was nice to hear Matt Herman say nice things about Kai, particularly things that reinforced what Dylan was already feeling about the youngster.
Everybody loves Kai Havertz. He's going to rule the world.
And also Matt Herman.
Thank you to Matt Herman for coming on the show. And thank you to all of today's scouts who sent scouting reports. Very much appreciate it. If you'd like to get involved in the action, it's totalsoccershow.com/join. If you recently sent a scouting request, like sort of, I'm waiting on my player in the past week, I did receive it. I have some time blocked out to take care of all the scouting assignments in the very near future. Like I say this once every 2 weeks. Essentially, I have to block time out to be like, all right, it's scouting afternoon. We're going to do it.
I'm going to check his calendar, listeners. I'm going to see if there's a blocked out period. If not, I'll let you know.
You actually should check my calendar because I nearly had the wrong day for going to Philly.
You did.
For the United Soccer Coaches Convention.
It was fun. Yeah,
could have been a lonely train ride for you.
I genuinely woke up in like a weird moment of panic of like, does he know which train station we're departing from? And it turns out you did, just the wrong day.
So yeah, once again, we'll be in Philly this week for the United Soccer Coaches Convention. We're rooming together, basically, right? We've got an Airbnb, so I'm imagining we'll just do some podcasts while we're there.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll keep the TSS going while we're in Philadelphia.
We'll see.
We
met Odd Couple this thing, or like draw some lines down the middle
War
of the apartment, whatever it is. Yeah,
put a big line down the middle.
I like that idea, and then we record on either side.
Yeah,
that's how that works.
Angrily record on the other side.
Yeah.
Taylor Rockwell, thank you for taking the time to talk to me today.
Right back at you, buddy.
Listeners, thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you again this week.